Scottie, that is a lot of stuff going on in less than 24 hours, but it's now all part of this conversation. Do you think the Rockets deserve more calls, that would have changed Game 1?
I mean, based on what I saw from the Rockets in the regular season, based on what I've seen James Harden get in the regular season, the calls that he gets, yes, he did deserve some calls. Anytime you make contact with a guy when he's still in the air, that's automatically a call. I don't care if he launched himself at him. You have to give him room to come down. You see guys go to the basket all the time, shooting runners, shooting floaters. They get a foul on that contact, and they're floating. So it's the same situation with a jump shooter in some senses, that as long as the guy is in the air, he's vulnerable and you're not allowed to make contact.
But the rules have changed a little bit, and I think the way Harden launches himself forward, because if you watch some of these, especially that call at the end of the game, he launches himself, Scottie, I don't know how much forward, but his legs go quite a bit forward.
Well, they didn't change from the regular season. Did the rules change from the regular season to the playoffs? Because he was getting these calls about 3 weeks ago.
Right. But I don't think he should have gotten that call.
I mean, according to Rudy Gobert, he was getting some of them last week, right?
Exactly.
I do think the call you're talking about with Draymond, the league reviewed it, and they said Draymond did not foul him. And you can't make your landing area, as you note, half the court, right? You can't kick your legs out to such a degree that it just becomes everything.
Right. And that's more in a frustration of what they were going through in this game.
But, Scottie, I'm curious because you defended so many great offensive players so well. And you dealt with this, right? If you foul them, you're going against what you're trying to do in the game. So what do you have to do when a guy is trying to initiate contact himself in the air to draw that foul on you so you can defend a great offensive player?
Well, I felt like the Golden State Warriors had a great game plan. Obviously, they've told the officials that Harden launches himself after his jump shot. So if you meet with the officials at the beginning of the game, when you talk and you let them know that, then they're going to be aware of that. And if you look at the Golden State Warriors players, they tried to not make the contact at times, but it was still there. You know, it's like you can try to dodge it, but if you make contact, it's a foul. And I felt like the Warriors' game plan was great because they almost turned their face, they turned their back. They didn't really buy into the foul and allow the official to just automatically call it. And I think that was a big difference maker than them making that call and not making it.
Clearly, the Houston Rockets were expecting that very game plan because they have compiled data from every game, every possession. Absolutely, of course. And so they, James Harden's game, he led the league in free throw attempts. He needs to get to the line. Even if he makes those shots or misses them, he's going to go to the line. That's always the case. So if you're Houston, you're going to lay out all these statistics, and you saw them, I did not. You're telling me, and I believe you and Zach, that they're subjective. Of course they are. Of course they are. But I just think it's a shame that this series is going to be focused on this. Because look at the great shot that Eric Gordon made in this game. Look at the great shots that Steph Curry made, the great shots that Durant made. I mean, I can list a whole bunch of them. Look at that shot by CP3. Those are what we should be talking about.
And look, there has been a shift in the league in general toward players sort of putting the attention on referees, complaining about referees, whining about calls in some cases. You got to tell it like it is. In particular, these two teams have contentious relationships with the officials to the point of, I sat down with Chris Paul before the series started, and one of the questions I asked him is, what happens when one of you gets ejected at a key moment? And guess what happened in Game 1?
Wow.
Chris Paul got ejected at a key moment, and I don't think it's the last time we're going to see that in this series. As we all know, we'd like to talk about basketball because, boy, you've got some of the best players on the planet in this series. Hopefully we can do that. I want to get, Jackie, to the ABC early game in the doubleheader. The Celtics beating the Bucks in Milwaukee by 22 points. Look, you were more impressed with the Celtics on the road, or were you more disappointed in the Bucks at home?
No, I'm very impressed with what the Boston Celtics did on the road. They were a lousy road team all year, and Scottie and I were talking off camera. The thing about the Celtics is when they make shots, they make more shots. I've never seen a team that is like that, but I've also never seen a team that has these time periods where they go so long without scoring at all, and they had one in this game. There was a 15-0 run in the first half, and they still won this basketball game. That, to me, is incredible. And I've just lost my FB, so let me put it back in.
Well, I mean, it was a road game. And when you're a team and you're in the playoff, you realize one thing. You got to win a road game if you want to win the series. And they came in with the mindset, we're going to get Game 1. And really, their game plan against Giannis was great. I mean, you talk about a guy that's built to guard Giannis. There he is, Al Horford. He is a special player. He's not a true big man. He's more of a hybrid kind of big man, but He has the body, he has the strength, he has the size. And I can't give him all the credit of stopping Giannis because I think they did a great job of walling him in where he wasn't allowed to do his Euro step and things of that nature. But Horford's physicality made a difference. And I thought that was really changed the whole game. Even though Milwaukee had opportunities to really be in that game, and as you said, they had a 15-0 run to get back into it, but Boston just had too much yesterday.
Give the Celtics credits for load management with Horford. He was dealing with knee tendonitis all year, much like Joel Embiid is now, and they were just smart about giving up some regular season games to make sure this guy got healthy for this stretch run for this specific player, by the way.
Hey, it worked in Game 1. We'll see what happens from here on out.